Welcome. This is To Our Core with Katie Murray, and this is the place where we peel back our layers to uncover who we really are at our centre, at our core. And think of it as a chat with your bestie, the one who can make you laugh until your belly hurts, who is ridiculously unfiltered, and will lovingly call you forward to help you cut through the noise and get real with yourself. Around here, nothing is off limits, and we are mixing this up with equal parts humour and heart, so let's dive right in. Welcome back, my friends, and as the intro says, this truly is a space where we peel back our layers, including the roles, the labels, and the titles that we give ourselves, that we adopt, so that we can truly get closer to who we are underneath it all. Now, today is going to be a big one, and it may bring up some emotion for me and possibly even you, as it is something that I think so many people are going to be able to relate to. And it's the one called busyness. It's the one that whispers, keep going, don't stop. It's the one that tells us that our worth is measured by how much we do and how many things we hold together and how many people that we care for. And I've been wondering a lot lately, in doing all of that, have I lost touch with something really essential? This episode is about what happens when we stop being participants in fun with our children, when we become so caught up in doing motherhood that we forget how to be in it. Not long ago, my daughter said something to me that stopped me in my tracks. We had been away for 4 days together. It was our Christmas present to each other, and it was because Teddy Swims was coming to Australia, and we had been looking forward to it for like 3 months in advance. And as part of that, we were going to be staying with my best friend in Sydney, and we just had the most amazing trip planned. And I'd really handed it over to my 10-year-old daughter and said, tell me what you want to do, and we'll do it. Like, this is our time to truly lean into creating experiences rather than, our Christmas presents being centered on possessions and material things. And, when they say, your kid won't remember what you got them for Christmas 5 years ago. However, they will remember the memories that you created with them. So the objective of this Christmas present really was to lean into creating those core memories together. And we had massages planned, and we were going to go to Luna Park, and we were going to get our nails done together, and we we're going to go see Teddy Swims. And I was so excited, and she was so excited for it. And we had the most amazing time. And I actually put up a post, so I'm just going to bear with me while I pull up the post that I wrote when I came back from that trip. And it was so important for me to express this, because what happened was that after the trip, I asked my daughter what was her favourite part. And her answer and her words broke me apart a bit. It broke my heart, and this is the post that I put up. The words my daughter spoke to me that broke my heart. We had just spent an incredible 4 days away together, and I asked, what was your most favourite thing that we did while away? I expected her to say something like visiting Luna Park, or going to see Teddy Swims, or getting a massage together. Instead, she said this: I loved watching you play in the surf with me, because I feel like I never get to see you have fun like that. And honestly, tears immediately sprung to my eyes with the sting of knowing that her words carried a truth that had gone unspoken. For so long, I have prioritized being the mum who is organised, who juggles all the balls, who makes sure cuddles are offered to melt away bad dreams and tummy aches. For so long, I have prioritised being at the school assemblies and sporting events to cheer them on, to wipe tears away when their hearts feel sad, to make sure their lunchboxes are stocked with their favourite snack. For so long, I have prioritised making sure their clothes are washed and folded, the doctor's appointments are scheduled, the home readers are read, the dinners are served. For so long, I have prioritised all that I thought they needed, all the while forgetting this one thing, that they are not interested in the busyness, the tasks, the responsibilities that we tell ourselves we must carry. They want to see us play, to embrace fun, to be carefree, not as an observer to them, instead as a participant with them, to roll around in the ocean, playing in the waves, while a daughter is doubled over in laughter watching her mother reunite with her inner child. That sometimes they need less of us showing them how to be all grown up, and instead more of showing them how to never forget that little kid that lives inside of each of us. Because often it is there, in the fun, that we realise this is the whole point. Now let me set this scene for you. This game that I played with her in the surf, alongside my best friend, was a game where there was a bit of surf, yeah? And at our local beaches in Tassie, we don't get a lot of surf where we live. So these waves felt really big for her, and to be fair, to me also. And so we're staying in the shallows, and we made this game that you had to sit down with your back to the wave without knowing it was going to hit you. And the winner was the person that remained seated or rolling around in the ocean who didn't choose to stand up. Now, I remember vividly as I was being thrown around by the ocean and the surf, watching my daughter literally doubled over with laughter. She was absolutely in hysterics watching her mother roll around. And yes, look, let's be completely honest. There was some flashing that occurred, okay? I did not know in the bathing suit that I was in that there was going to be this game that was going to occur. And so my bathing suit with my full bosom wasn't prepared for the surf. And so there were several times where she was laughing in fits, whilst also saying, "Mum, your boobs come out again, your boobs come out." So apologies to everyone that was at Manly on the beach that day that saw more than perhaps they were prepared to see. As I rolled around in, let's face it was probably, 30 centimetres of water being tossed around by these waves. And I remember thinking in that moment, wow, she looks happy. I haven't seen her laugh this much. However, nothing prepared me to realise how important that moment was going to be for her. Because often when we go to the beach, I'm there making sure that everyone else is okay. And what she was saying to me in that moment, what I interpreted in that moment was that it made her sad that I don't have fun with her anymore. Now, don't get me wrong, I use humour a lot with my children, and I am often very silly and very ridiculous and very playful with them. However, I didn't realise that as they got older, that I had somehow stopped playing with them. I had become this observer to them, or the facilitator of fun, the taxi driver to the activities, and that I was sitting as a bystander watching instead of being part of it. And her words were so right. She hasn't seen me have fun like this for a really long time. And this wasn't just about the beach. It was about so much more than that. That moment became a mirror for me, showing me how easily that I had drifted into the busyness of being everything for everyone. Packing lunches, scheduling playdates, cheering from the sidelines, wiping tears away, coordinating, cleaning, caring. all of the doing. And in all of the doing, I had stopped joining in. I used to be the one who joined in the fun without hesitation when they were little. Like, I was down on the ground and I was playing with them. I am still the person who dances in the living room like a crazy person, or belting out the songs in the car like I am destined for a career on Broadway. I still have that element of silliness. However, somewhere along the way of my kids growing up, I stopped being a participant in playing, who built the forts, who jumped on the trampoline with the sprinkler underneath it on a hot summer's day. I became the person that turned the sprinkler on and then stepped away. And somewhere along the way, I became the manager of the fun. And you know what? You may hear me from time to time in these episodes talking about something called perception is projection, which means that what we see on the outside of us is a reflection of something that we potentially need to work on. And I haven't realized that the frustration that I have often felt with my husband, in him being the fun dad, razzing the kids up right before bed, tickling, chasing them around the house, hearing their fits of laughter, I've got to be honest, like, on the whole, it pisses me off. Or it pissed me off. He was being the fun dad, and I would use reasons and excuses like, you're razzing them up before bed, I'm trying to calm them down, you're kind of like, you're doing the opposite of what I'm trying to achieve here. And now I've realised that that irritation inside of me, it had absolutely nothing to do with him firing them up before bed. It had absolutely everything to do with the illumination of the fact that he was doing something, being the fun dad, that I had stopped being. And so that irritation was my unconscious mind saying, pay attention here. You have become the one making sure that there is fun for others, the snacks, the sunscreen, the schedule, and you're not actually the one having it. And isn't that like what happens to so many of us? Like that post that I put up on my social media that I just read out to you then resonated with so many people. So many people messaged me about it. So, there were people that were commenting on it. People felt this deeply, and I felt really emotional posting it. And my heart felt really heavy that I had missed this, that I had turned joy into a checklist, that we measure our love by our efficiency, that we get so focused on creating a good life for our kids that we forget to live it with them. We become the stage manager of our family's lives, always behind the scenes, never on the stage. And to our core, I've invited you into a space where we peel back the layers together. And so here I am going first, talking about something that clearly so many people resonate with. They felt my post so deeply, and that motherhood brings so many layers to us. The organizer, the caretaker, the protector, the cheerleader, and they're sacred layers, and they're born from love, and they can also bury us. They can bury the curious, playful, spontaneous part of us that existed before the to-do lists and responsibilities, and particularly when your kids get older and they appear to need you a little bit less in their play because they have gained some level of independence, some level of self-amusement, we step back. And when my daughter said those words of, I don't get to see you have fun anymore, I think what she really meant was, I miss you. The you that joins in. The you that just is silly and playful and without responsibility. And that landed so deeply with me, Because maybe that's the invitation, not just to parent our children well, it's to stay connected to the child that is still living inside of us. So why do we stop? I spent some time pondering this after those words landed heavy inside me. They broke my heart a little bit. And I came up with 3 big reasons that I think a lot of people will resonate with. First, exhaustion. Life is full, yeah. We can feel really tired, and unstructured, messy fun can sometimes require energy of us that we often don't feel like we've got a spare tank to be able to resource or connect to in order to give us that energy. Secondly, I think very often in this world of busyness, we can have a disconnection from presence. Our minds are often racing or very busy. We're planning tomorrow's dinner or next week's schedule or next month's commitments, and we're often living 2 steps ahead of ourselves. And that's the thing, yeah? Play only exists in the now. Like that spontaneous play of us just making up this game in the ocean, and that wasn't planned. And the now is something that we've almost forgotten how to rest in. And the third is often the fear of us letting go. We've built our identities around being capable and in control, the one who holds it all together. But play, fun, spontaneous, it asks us to drop the clipboard, to let the moment lead. And sometimes for us that can feel uncomfortable, perhaps even unsafe on an unconscious level. And when you're used to being responsible for everything, saying, fuck it, let's just be without responsibility, or let's push back the time frames or the schedule or whatever we've got planned and let's just be here right now. That can be jarring. And I also want to invite you into realizing that when I'm talking about play, it's not about being childish. Play is sacred. It's about connection, and it's how we remember that we're alive. Because the connection isn't just with other people. It's about connection to ourselves. And when we play, it's not about us losing control. It's about finding presence in the moment. And presence is where our core lives. And when I realized how long it had been since I had truly played, I felt grief and shame and regret. And it was about all the moments that I'd watched instead of joining in. It was about all the times that I'd chosen productivity over presence. It was a grief and shame and regret for the version of me who used to be silly, unguarded and light. And in that grief also came awareness. And awareness is a gift. As you will often hear me say, it is the first step. It is the game changer. Because once you see that something's missing, you can begin the slow, gentle work of finding it again. And for me, that one statement from her, that's what this season feels like for me. It feels like a return, a remembering. That moment with my daughter shifted something in me. And it was no longer about guilt or shame or regret. It was about clarity. And I realized that I didn't want to just observe my children's joy. I wanted to actually share in it. So I made a quiet commitment, a promise to her, a promise to all of them, a promise to myself that the schedule was not more important than being a participant in joy with them, that I would start saying yes more often when they asked me to come and play, that I would let go of needing to be this constant orchestra and let myself actually be part of the music, that this isn't just about getting in the ocean. It's about getting into life. And it's about the backyard dance parties instead of folding laundry. It's about playing tag in the hallway and baking cookies and eating the dough. Even if there's no dough left to make the cookies, it's lying on the grass and staring at the clouds, or on a clear night looking up into the sky and counting the stars with them. It's about looking at my children and showing them that my inner child is still well and truly alive in me. She has not been lost under the weight of responsibility, just waiting for permission to come out to play. This was my permission piece. And I'm going to be honest, it felt like an awakening, because our kids don't need us to model to them how to be more grown up. They need us to model what it looks like to stay alive. And I want my children to grow up knowing that adulthood can be both steady and joyful, responsible and free, that it can embody playfulness, that you can love deeply and still laugh loudly, and that the schedule, the plan, it's not it. It's not everything. Spontaneity and being present and being safe to play is it. So that's my commitment to them and to me. To choose presence over perfection, to choose joy even in the middle of the mess, to remember that play isn't a distraction from life. It is the doorway back into it. And when we allow ourselves to play, we give our children permission to do the same, to grow up knowing that laughter belongs in the serious moments too. That it's okay to be silly, to make mistakes, to get messy, to feel, and that we show them that love doesn't always look like organization and structure. And sometimes it looks like muddy shoes and loud laughter. And there have been many times where I have stepped into the space of wanting to control rather than letting go. And when we're talking about muddy shoes, yeah, I've been the one that's, get those off, get outside, don't bring your muddy shoes in. And you know what? The muddy shoes don't really matter. And when they see that our inner child is still well and truly alive, they can learn too that theirs does not have to disappear with them as they age. If this feels like it's hitting home for you, if you have been standing on the sidelines of your own life, here are a few gentle ways that I want to invite you so that you can start returning to joy and play. Say yes to the small invitations. When your child says, come play with me, say yes before all the excuses and the reasons for why not appear. Find joy in the ordinary. Like that trip to the beach, it could have been one where I sat on the sand and soaked in the rays and watched my child. And I can tell you, it was a hell of a lot more fun to get in there with her. Let's let dinner take a little bit longer because you're dancing in the kitchen. Wear the silly hat. Sing loudly in the car. Just got to say, I do have that one nailed. It's on a regular basis, even if I don't have an audience. And I want to also invite you to get in the damn photo, not behind it. Be part of the memory, not just the one who captures it. Reconnect with your own inner child and do one thing each week that your younger self would have loved just for the fun of it. And interestingly, like as a coach, sometimes we can be in that coaching space and we're sharing support and advice to the client. And I often have asked them, what did your younger child, your younger self, what did they love to do? Can you tap back into that? Can you tap into what brings you joy from your past and bring it into the present? And I didn't realize until my daughter uttered those words of, I don't see you have fun like this, that I had forgotten that for myself. And this isn't about doing more. This is about remembering more, remembering what joy feels like when you're in it, not just making space for it, not being the facilitator of it, not being the Uber driver that takes them to the fun, drops them off, and steps back out of it. So maybe this episode isn't just about play. Maybe it's about coming home to the parts of ourselves that we have traded for productivity along the way, that said to us that we don't have time for this. Because when we strip back the titles and the to-do lists, we will find something very simple underneath it all. The self who is still curious, still wild, still carefree, and still capable of wonder in the most simplest of things. And maybe our children are here to remind us of that, to pull us by the hand and say, come on, Mum, let's go. It's just another beautiful demonstration of how our children can be our greatest teachers. So to my daughter, thank you. Thank you for calling me back to the water and to the woman underneath the layers, and to you listening. May this too be your reminder to put down the list, take the hand, to join in the fun, because life and motherhood, it isn't about being everything for everyone. It is about remembering that you are part of the story too. Thank you. Thank you for holding space for me while I shared this part of my story, and for joining me on this episode of To Our Core. If this episode spoke to you, as always, I really invite you, particularly if you're a parent, to share it with another parent who might need this as a little bit of a reminder that they're allowed to have fun too. And until next time, take care. And remember that your inner child is still there, waiting beneath the layers. Thanks for spending time with me today on To Our Core. If something landed in your heart or gave you a much needed giggle, consider sharing it with a friend who also may need this as a timely reminder. And go on. You know you want to. Give me a 5-star review so that this podcast can land in the ears of many, many more people. Because remember that life is too short to stay on the surface. Keep living, loving, and laughing all the way to your core. Go make life great. And if you want support around this, go to the show notes to find out more. Until next time, I'll meet you back here with more truth, laughter, and a whole lot of heart.